The biggest thing you gave me was time.
I've always been a proponent of do the job, do it well.
When you're a family, everyone in the family has to be treated with respect.
I couldn't have done this without you. Coming here to K-State, you've been my confidant and in the room with me.
I want to know who you really are, right? You can put whatever you want on paper, but that doesn't really matter.
His teachers, they meet the learner wherever he is.
They don't care what you know.
They won't. So they know how much you care.
Be aggressive. That's win. Here we go.
The moment you and I got on the phone and had the opportunity to visit, I said, hey, this is someone that you need to be connected to. This is someone who has a ton to give other people, but I'm gonna give me some first.
Good.
And so, you know, that's what this podcast has been about. And I'm the first to admit that I wanted nothing to do with it. And it's very informal. And what we try to do is, like I said, the introductions. Okay, this is Alecia Shields-Gadson. She is the athletic director at the Delaware State University, and she is a bright and rising star in the field of athletics, and that's about all the introduction you get. Because I don't like to steal. This is your moment. This is your thunder. And so the first question that I have is I want you to take us through this journey that has you in the seat. They call it the seat. That has you in the seat at Delaware State University. Tell us about, as briefly or as in-depth as you would like, but take us through that journey to have you here where you are today at Delaware State University.
Well, Coach, I'll tell you, first of all, I'm still on that journey. And so, you know, we don't always know where God has us as that final destiny. So I won't even say I've reached the pinnacle. I am literally still on that journey. And I've had an opportunity for the last 25 years to really be involved unapologetically in HBC culture and leadership. And really being able to watch our students learn and grow and matriculate and move through and see them go places that they've never seen or thought that they could go. And so when I think about my journey, my professional journey, most of it is really intriguing, and I'm really excited about just what we've been able to offer to the individuals that, you know, when you think about HBCUs, and a lot of us, you know, we are mission driven and we're providing access and opportunity. And so you see individuals that are coming in. A lot of times we hear about first generation college students and just having individuals that we are able to play a major role in their lives. So I say, for me, this thing that I love to do, and imagine being in a job that you get paid and you can wake up whistling, because even on the bad days, you know, I look at where I could be. And so I love what I do. I love being connected to others. And again, just this whole athletic journey, a lot of it is just centered around creating pipelines of opportunities. And so that's what I think that I am most proud of, that I'm able to do in this role.
Well, I like have a whole lot of questions, and I know we send you the script of these questions, but mine are totally off script.
Well, just go with it. Go with it. Let's have a conversation.
That's what I like. I love conversation. But like I've been, because you know, since we connected, I've followed, right? I followed you, and I see this dynamic thing of MEAC leadership from females. You know, from females. We've had Sonia on here. We did her podcast in an airport during COVID.
Oh wow!
During the height of COVID. You know, And that was great. So I followed her. I followed you. What is that? What is this moment for you ladies in leadership in the MEAC conference? What is that all about? What does that mean to the future of college sports from a female perspective?
Well, it really shows the moment that we're in. And I'll just say this, we've been here. So, you know, a lot of people, where did you come from? And, you know, even, oh, you know, up and coming. We've been here. And I think this is indicative of where we see the NCAA in transformational leadership and just this whole transformation movement of finally being able to just have an opportunity to show what we truly can do. And a lot of us, you know, we've been here most of the time, you know, we've been number twos and we've been in positions where internally we've been leading and guiding all along. And so it's just that the culture is finally shifting. You know, we saw over the last 2 years this whole social justice movement, and we are really seeing this movement of providing what I call, again, just access and opportunity. And we've always been here. We've always been ready to lead. And imagine even in your role and your mission and what you're trying to do. And I commend you for the work that you're doing with also providing access and opportunities for minority coaches and those that you know and I know are ready or are more than able. And it's just having that opportunity and someone believing and trusting you with the keys to
Right.
drive it. So
Right.
that's where I am, and that's where I think we're going.
Right. So my next question is going to jump into, you know, the best leaders you've been around, and you can put him in the group. You don't have to put him in the group, but your president, Dr. Tony Allen, man, is a dynamic. This is
Phenomenal. Firecracker, phenomenal. You know,
phenomenal.
you hear him talk about the vision, and we look at our university and to his vision, and we've all adopted that, is to be the most diverse and contemporary HBCU in America. And just listen to those key words. So again, unapologetically HBCU, we're not trying to be what we're not, but we're saying in this space, how can we use the resources that are available to us? How can we be progressive? How can we ensure that, you know, we're practicing the right business models to be in this marketplace and to be contemporary? And just when you say the word transformational, you know, you're right. You've had an opportunity to talk and really engage with him. And he's walking the walk. So, you know, you look at this university, and in the midst of most universities having declining enrollment, Delaware State was one of the universities that we were on the upswing, and we are continuing to be on an upswing. And so you look at just the programming that we're offering, you know, aviation and nursing and a lot of those things that I think we have positioned ourselves to definitely be competitive. And so when you think about, you know, leadership and leaders, he's definitely one. But Van, you and I both know sometimes you learn a whole lot from bad leaders too, because you learn what not to do. And you know, having those different experiences. When I think about over 25 years, I've seen a whole lot of, you know, leaders that have impacted me and have come through. And, you know, everyone has had some type of nugget. But when I think about female leadership and Black female leadership in athletics, Ingrid Wicker McCree, you know, formerly of North Carolina Central, AD there for years, phenomenal leader, coach, mentor. She really inspired those of us that were you know, saying, can I do this? Can I really? And just to watch her and to observe her and being her authentic self. And I'll say, you know, I'm sure somewhere in podcasts you've talked about that, because a lot of times in this business, you know, we're kind of told how we should act and how we should look and how we should talk and speak and present ourselves. And for me to be on this podcast with you and for me to have braids in my hair. Imagine, years ago, we were taught in leadership courses that no, you should look like this and act like this. And so I am most proud that I am now seeing leaders that are teaching us through their actions that we can be our authentic selves and that we can actually have a philosophy and thought that may not be mainstream, but that we can still be successful. So I think when I look at female leadership and to have her right at my disposal and to be able to have all that wealth of knowledge, I think it's phenomenal. And so even as she's kind of transitioned into other professional opportunities, she is still doing that, reaching back, pulling up, and ensuring that all of us will have a seat at the table. So I'm definitely just elated by that. And then I'm sure this name may ring a bell. So if you remember Marino Casem, the godfather of SWAC football, I had the pleasure of being a student athlete and a staff person under him. He was my AD, and I really learned a lot from him. I learned how to be open and candid. And you look at now, they have leadership books on crucial conversations. I say, I was getting that lesson early on back in the 90s and early 2000s. And, he was already teaching us crucial conversations and how to really say what you mean and mean what you say. And so I think even now, as I look at my leadership style, and it has evolved because the times have evolved, and it kind of forces us, we know as leaders, we have to evolve. And so, I would think of myself as a transformational leader, where I'm sure one of my staff would say, she's a little more autocratic. But, I think in the mix of this, that I've been around some great leaders, and believe it or not, those that don't even know that they are guiding me, just their actions and being able to observe, a lot of great people and to be okay with where I am and what I choose to do professionally. And I really enjoyed this HBCU space, and it has really been a blessing for me. And I really just look forward to many more years of engaging and empowering women and women of color to know that, when they see me as an example, that they believe that they can be a Division I coach, that they can be a Division I administrator. And even if they step outside of the HBCU realm, but that they know that they can be confident and say, no, I do see Black women doing what I want to do. So I'm very proud of the moment that we are in.
Yeah, and it, again, just going back to your conference, there, because you have some really dynamic leaders, and I really
yes,
because I've had the opportunity to engage with many of these women, and it, again, like you said, I'm also proud for this moment. So let's shift gears a little bit. Mm-hmm. So your seat, you had the opportunity to choose a staff, to hire coaches. Mm-hmm. And, I understand how important it is to put the right people on your mm-hmm. bus. So what is your process, and what are the important things that you look for? Because we have a lot of young mm-hmm. administrators, we have young coaches who view mm-hmm. this podcast, and mm-hmm. they always want to know what you're looking for. They want to mm-hmm. know if they have that thing. And so mm-hmm. what are the things that you look for when hiring a team, when hiring coaches for your programs?
First, when we go back to that bus, is making sure some people are at the right bus stop. So we got to make sure, do you even belong on this bus? And so I know we talk a lot about getting on the bus and putting you in the right seat. Sometimes we have to be very open with ourselves and say, maybe this is not the bus for you. I know you might want to be on express bus, but I think for me, it's having individuals to tell them the first thing, you got to be a student of your craft. you gotta know what you're talking, whatever that thing is, whatever it is, you gotta try to be the best at that. You gotta be excellent. You gotta know that when you speak, you're speaking from a point of research, of knowledge, of expertise. So that's the first thing I would say is, first, just be a student of your craft, and don't be in such a rush. You started this whole conversation with the journey. And that's the thing. It's just like when we take trips and we turn on that GPS and it kind of tells us, and I'm the one, I want to see the whole trip. I got to hit the other button and I want to see all the little steps in the middle. And
Right.
and it's enjoying and understanding the journey and not trying to rush and skip steps. I think one of the things that I've noticed in the new age is that you know, there's an impatience sometimes to just hurry up and get there. And you want to say, no, enjoy the journey, because this journey allows you to interact, engage, meet people. And so for me, it's having young leaders to say, you got to be a student of your craft. You got to enjoy the journey. You got to set the course of knowing where you want to go, and being okay with it not coming together the way you want it to come together. And that sometimes we get so frustrated, and I watch the young leaders, and you know, they're so easily defeated by, oh, it didn't go the way I wanted you to go. And you know, we all know is, say, how do you make God laugh? By telling them what you want to do. And sometimes we don't always understand the journey, but if we just slow down and allow ourselves to really enjoy it, and enjoy the scenery, enjoy the engagement of people, and understanding loyalty, and loyalty of not just to your leader, but to your colleagues, to others, to, you know, it's so simple, but Coach, being kind, you know, that can take us a long way. Just being kind, and understanding that we don't know a lot of times the people we meet, where they may end up. And so, you know, I may be above you now at this stage, and for whatever reason you've jumped up 2 notches ahead of me 2 years from now, and people remember that. So I say, as we, you know, you know, they just talk about networking, but it's bigger than that. It's not just, you know, collecting business cards and putting them in your thing, but understanding people, engaging people, and learning how to follow. We have so many leadership courses. We're always teaching about leadership, but we spend maybe that much on followership. And sometimes people just have to learn how to follow. You know, you think about you coaching a team. You say, let me coach. I just need you to follow. I just need you to pay attention. I need you to understand what we're trying to accomplish, but I just need you to be a good follower. And being a good follower is not that you can't lead, but you have to understand your purpose, your point, where you are at that time, and not be in such a rush to just say, I want to be the chief, I want to be in charge, and just really taking it step by step. But I'm gonna tell you, for me, that's the first kind of orientation I give all of my new leaders is, let's make sure, before I even empower you to lead, let's make sure you understand followership and what that commitment is. And that's a mutual contract. It's a social contract. And so it's saying, hey, just because I don't always kind of take your advice, it doesn't mean I didn't hear it. But, you know, sometimes as a leader, you say, yeah, I've considered that, but I still want to go in that direction. Imagine you as a coach, and you're talking about a play, and you may think it's the best way to go, and someone say, yeah, I hear you, coach, but we're gonna go another way. And good or bad and different, however you feel about it, you have to know, okay, I still got to be a team player. I got to be 100% committed to making this thing successful, even when I don't agree with it. And so I think those are some of the things that for young leaders that you want to impart upon them, because the business is the business, and it's ever changing. And athletics, you know, can be as wonderful as we love it to be. and it can be as cruel and demanding. And you think about, just work life. I say there's not even a work-life balance anymore. It's just life balance, because work is all entangled in that, right? And so we find ourselves in this beautiful space that sometimes there are hazards with this job. And so for any new person, it's really just understanding and really helping them to say that you really got to just slow yourself down and enjoy the journey and enjoy this trip that we're going to take together.
So I'm in Houston, right? And so when you're in Houston, you go to French's, right?
Okay.
Or when you in the South, you go to Popeyes, right?
Uh-huh.
And so at French's, they serve nuggets. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And so when a person listens to you, this is not like a 2-piece nugget. This is like a 15-piece nugget deal. I mean, they get nuggets all over the place, right? The first thing that you said is, and I always use it, but when I heard you say it, what I heard was, get on the bike. It's not your job to steer. It's your job to keep pedaling. God is going to steer the bike. Your job is to just keep pedaling. The second thing that you talked about is you talked about patience. And so for me, like I always think about when I used to go to my grandmother's house. So when my grandmother knew that the family was going to come, she knew you were coming on Monday. Well, she started cooking on Wednesday, right? Now that she didn't put stuff in the oven on Wednesday, but she started marinating the meat. She started getting her seasoning ready. And so she, like, by the time you got there on Sunday, man, and that's why people say they like their grandmother's cooking. Because today what you can do is you can put it in the microwave.
And microwave,
you got air fryer.
Get it done. Yeah.
You got
or you can just order
your
it.
Meal is ready. Right. Your meal is ready in 15 minutes. But that food grandmother made, that food was days in the making. And so the seasoning, the love is throughout the meat. So it's got to taste better. It's got to taste better. So we talk in coaching and in the world, we talk about process, the process of things. And it's not going to happen overnight. Yeah, you can put it in the microwave today and you can get it overnight because that's what we used to. We used to 3 minutes and a roast is done.
Right.
We used to the green egg, you just slap it on that green egg. And I love it, by the way. But you slap it on that green egg and it's tender and juicy and it's ready in 5 minutes, But what about the process? What about let's go through some things and let's arrive at a point. So that was the second thing that you talked about. And the third thing that you talked about, people say networking, but it's about relationships. And I tell the young coaches, I say real relationships. I got a young dude, he only calls me when he wants me to call about a job. That's the only time I hear from him. And so I always wonder to myself, is he crazy or does he think I'm crazy? The only time you call me is when you want a job, you want me to call somebody for a job. That's not a relationship. You know what I mean? It's a one-sided transaction.
Yeah.
I'm going to always call for him, but I can't put my love, I can't put my real force behind his recommendation because of the fact that I know I know how he views our relationship. We do have a relationship, but it's straight up one-sided. And if somebody else happened to call me about the same job that he's calling me about, unfortunately, the recommendation may go to that other person a lot stronger than it goes to him. And so again, you gave us a 12-piece nugget deal right there. But I want to shift gears again.
Okay.
Really, and you kind of talked about it. These last few years, from a leadership standpoint, there have been some big time challenges. And I'm talking about the COVID protocols. I'm talking about how we've had to deal with our student athletes and explain and allow them to explain, allow them to press, when we talk about the social justice initiative, and you know, that has to have been a challenge for a leader. How have these adversities made you stronger as a leader in your mind?
Well, you know, I'm from the South too, and so I'm from New Orleans. And so while I wasn't in New Orleans at the time of Hurricane Katrina, all of my family was. And so, you know, it's a great metaphor, because I think about, you know, when I was young, smaller kid, and we knew a hurricane was coming, and you know, you hear about hurricane parties, because most of us just say we're gonna ride it out, you know, because you didn't always. But see, some people look at it, and I look at even you know, you watch documentaries on Hurricane Katrina, and you have people that will say, well, I don't understand why they stayed. Why would they? Well, they didn't have a choice. And so sometimes when we think about adversity, the adversity that you think is everyday life, for me, I've learned to live in that. I've learned to know how to you know, make $1 out of 15 cents. And so when we talk about adversity, I'm just kind of like, oh, that's all, you know, that's all you got to deal with. Or for me, it was sitting back chuckling and say, hey, welcome to my world. You know, welcome to when sometimes, you know, you have all the best intentions, and there are just some things that is not financial and money related that you just don't control. And so when we really think about adversity, you go, what are some of the key factors? It's one, when you have an opportunity to always have a good plan. So really, I'm not surprised when these storms come, because I already have a plan just in case. Remember, your grandmama had those candles just in case. So she wasn't caught off guard. She might have them. She had them candles and matches, and say, just in case, right? So when we talk about adversity, for me, it's that part to say, well, really, what we're facing, I've been preparing for it. I've been saving for my little rainy day. And so I think the frustrating part is, a lot of times the adversity is not self-inflicted. It's us, and as a people, and as a part of the HBCU culture, is just people around us already having their preconceived notions of me, of my institutions, of you know, and not really understanding the pride and legacy that we have, and what that really means. And so a lot of times when you say adversity, you know, we've struggled through it with pride. You won't see it. You won't see us with slumped shoulders. You won't see me with my head down crying, because we say, hey, I don't have no money. That's okay. I'm gonna make the most of it. We're still gonna have a great experience. We're still gonna figure out together. And I think that's a part of it too, that community, that sometimes adversity brings about some good residual things, because when we're in hard times, we gotta lean on each other, and we gotta connect, and we gotta come together, and sometimes that was the catalyst that will get us through. So, Coach, I'm living the dream. And so, like I say, when most people say adversity, I say, hey, that's just the jungle, baby. And we keep it moving.
That's right. Tough people, they go through.
Yeah.
They go through tough times.
Yeah.
Right. So my next question, and you kind of talked about it a little bit, but like, as a leader, how do you okay, let me rewind. Okay. I know you've been a coach, right? I know you've been and so you're a track coach. And so for you, I use the term game day. For you, game day was a track meet.
Yeah.
Right? You hype, you've been practicing all week, and sometimes even longer than weeks.
Yeah.
But here's that track meet. And you know, whatever the events are, when it's time to compete, that's go time.
Yeah.
Now you're in a different place, right? Now you're in a different place. I know for me what game day is like. I know what that whole feeling is.
Yeah.
But you, in this world you live in today, what is game day like for you now? What is your game day? What is that?
Well,
What is
let me
that
take you
moment for you?
back. First of all, because I've had the greatest job on earth of being a coach, I feel like in this role, you know what? I view myself as the coach's coach. So I'm still coaching. I'm still in the game day. And for me, you know, a daily work day is really just that. It's back to practice of the preparation of how do I get everybody else to rise up? See, in my role, I'm saying, how do I get the best out of you? Because just like you say, when game day come, you're the coach. You on the sidelines. You can't. You know, we say all the time. And in track, I say, baby, I can't run for you. Now I done got you here. You got to be prepared to run. And so, and I literally use that same analogy in my role in leadership. I have to say, okay, what are we trying to do? Let's be realistic. Let's make sure, because remember, you don't always have all the all-stars that you would like. So you have to recognize as a coach, okay, what talent do I have? You know, who are my potentials? Who's still developing? Who are my all-stars? Who are my clutch? Because sometimes those don't always be the same individuals. But once you know all of your different personnel, now you're saying, okay, what's the execution? How are we gonna do this? And so my game day is really saying, am I helping prepare you for the moments that you will need to then step up and be clutch? And so you got to watch me. You got to watch my demeanor. You know, as a coach, you don't see me frazzled, because I know if I look frazzled, I'm gonna pass that on to you. I gotta talk you up to where you want to run through a wall for me. And it becomes the same thing in this role. It's saying, okay, how do I recognize where you want to go? Am I being realistic with you? Because if I walk in there and say, we about to win it all, baby, we winning the championship, am I really being realistic? So I have to meet you where you are and say, hey, here's where we are. Here's where we're trying to go. But here are those steps. Here's that game plan. And we're going to check in and we're going to see how we get a little bit better. And so that game day is really every day. And then the culminating moment is when each of my coaches go out to their respective sport. You know, I'm watching as a proud mama and saying, okay, are they using those little nuggets? And just like you said, you know, sometimes I talk about, I'll say the tool belt, and we putting tools into your tool belt. And sometimes you almost got to slap yourself, because you say, he got the right tools, but he using them wrong. He done pull out a wrench when he really needed a screwdriver, or he done pull out a whole drill when really he just needed a light touch and he just needed to tap it with him. So you got the tools. Right. So we talk about, you know, and you think about mentoring and guiding, and you say they putting those tools in a tool belt, but then we got to know, okay, does he know or does she know the right tool for this job, the right tool for this particular project, and what does that look like as you move forward? So I'm doing it every day.
Great. I love the game day.
Yeah.
So this is a cool question, because we get all kinds of different responses. But so where you are today, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you look back, mm-hmm. you tell that younger version of you who just thought she knew it all, mm-hmm. and now she didn't. But what are the things that you would tell her if you could go back and whisper in her ear 25 years ago?
Okay. First, I would say, Jerry curls are not for everybody. So leave it at home. No, but I'll say, you're right. And that's why I can say it now is be patient. It's okay. Be patient. Be patient. You know, it's a plan, and it's the journey, and don't feel like you got to rush to get there, and don't feel defeated. I think my younger self, that pride of not knowing to ask for help. And so even with the young man you talked about with the relationship, you know, one thing I'll ask you, and maybe try it, is sometimes we don't know what we don't know. And so you're watching him, and And have you taken the opportunity to really say, hey, you know what? Let me check you up. Let me pull your coat on this one because, and I think for me, that's one of the things that, you know, love me or hate me, I'm gonna pull your coat because I never want you to walk away saying you didn't know. So I'm gonna say, you know, did you know or should you have known? And so for me, I think it was getting out of my pride of thinking that people are gonna think I don't know because I asked for help, and not trying to sit there and struggle with something by myself because I was too proud to ask for help because I felt like if I ask somebody or if I look like I don't know what to do, then I'm not gonna get this opportunity again. And so imagine making my road even longer because I didn't know how to ask for help. And now I'm easily considering my role, and it's okay when everybody's around me. I say, do you know what to do? Good. And I'm okay with saying I don't, but that's why I have you here. So as a leader, it's learning how to recognize my own deficiencies and being okay that I don't have it all together, but knowing that it's okay and being my authentic self to just say, you know what, I don't even know the answer. No, I don't have no, I don't have this great solution to your dilemma. I'm gonna just say I might need to just go sit on that today, or I might just, you know, let me sleep on it. Maybe it'll come to me tomorrow. But you know, you think about 10, 20 years ago, I would have never did that. I would have just ran myself ragged with, I always got to have an answer. I always got to know how to solve this issue. And so for me, it's knowing to say, it's okay. I don't know. And life will go on and we can figure this out together. And sometimes it's trial and error. I can be honest enough to say, you know what? I don't know if that'll work, but I'm okay. Let's try it. And if it don't work, we can come back to the table and say, well, we tried it. Let's try something else. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, that if I could go back to myself. Okay. And even now I have to sometimes look in the mirror and keep saying that to myself too. Like, it's okay. It'll be all right.
And I think
it really is.
Many episodes ago, it was Kevin Anderson who said that, you know, as a leader, you have to be willing, or you have to be comfortable. You have to be okay with being vulnerable. Okay with, I don't know. Okay, I don't have the answer. Listen, I am in charge, but I don't know it just yet.
Right.
Just a minute. And he talked about how important that was for leaders to be able to do. You know, because I know, you know, when I'm talking to a young coach and he might ask me a question, I feel like I got to get him the answer right now. Well, I don't know the answer right now.
Right.
Let me go ask somebody else.
Right.
Well, you know what? There's always in this podcast, there's always we between Tim and Pat and myself, the guys who work behind the scenes in this podcast, there's always a competition as to who was the best guest, you know. And so we always have that argument is, no, this person was the best. Well, you know what? I know I have my opinions. I have my opinions. And this was a fantastic discussion and fantastic.
Well, thank you for having me. But here's what I'm going to say to you. Because we know you're going to be successful and do many, many more, I may just be your best guest today. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being your best guest today, because tomorrow comes and it's a blank page. And that's what's so great about tomorrow. You know what I'm excited? When I lay my head down and all I say, you know what, God, just give me the privilege of waking up, because tomorrow is a whole new day. And I can say, like, for me, you know, I may have an affirmation to say, you know what, I'm just not going to cuss somebody out today. And maybe by 10 a.m. I didn't make it. But you know what I get to say? That's okay, God, because I'm going to try again tomorrow. And maybe tomorrow will be the day. And I think when we look at life like that, when you say, it's okay. It's, you know, sometimes we're so serious and we take stuff so to where you got to say, it's okay. If God just let me live to see another day, I could try to get it right tomorrow. And I have to actually say that sometimes to my staff, say, you know what, today, that's the end for you today. Maybe tomorrow, I'm gonna feel a little better tomorrow. And we could just tackle tomorrow as a whole new day. And that's what this is. We talk about a journey. We're writing a book. We're writing our life, story for all of us. And you think about our younger selves, we don't really start thinking about our legacy. We just, we living like there's no tomorrow, right? And as we get older, we start having our own kids and grandkids, and it starts to hit us like, okay, what's my legacy? What do I really want people to say about me? What do I want to leave? And I think that's the part when we get to that turning point of saying, you know what? I am concerned with what do I want to leave? Just a regular old person. I don't have to be anybody famous or infamous. But what is it when someone goes to read my eulogy and they want to say something, what would they really say about Alecia Shields-Gadson? And I would say for me, I just want them to say she made a difference for somebody. And we don't always realize. You might meet somebody at the airport and they don't know who you are, don't know what you do. And you just sitting there having a normal, private citizen conversation. And then they see you later on television and say, oh my God, I was sitting right next to him and he was just so ordinary. And you'd be surprised though. And they may say, you know what, he gave me some good advice. And that should just make you smile, to just say, you know what, I did something good. I was able to just make a difference, because what we're seeing now, and I'll leave you with this, in this mental health space, and it's real. And you think about you and I, not to say we didn't experience stress and all of these things. We had a different approach, because you was almost like, well, I gotta go. And you just, suppress it and you don't think about it. And so now we don't know that, imagine yourself being so busy and one of your players stopped by and they just pop their head in like, hey coach, can I see you? And you, oh, I'm busy. I got. And that's the day though that he really needed you, just not to talk about football. He probably just needed to sit in your presence, to feel your calmness, and to help him be okay. And I think for me, that's the one thing that I said in this role. If I'm in the office, and some days we can get so caught up to where, I tell my executive assistant, just shut the door, because I gotta, but then I have to remember the one thing, as frustrating as it may be, if a student athlete stops by, I try to make time to kind of see them and at least try to triage, like, okay, what you need? But I never want to feel that heartache of knowing that they were going through something and they thought enough of me that they felt like they, that I could help them, or that they needed to share it. And I was so caught up in myself and my own thing that I didn't realize that that's a part of my role. That's a part of my life's journey. That's a part of when we start to understand our why. And you go, why did God put me here? Why did he put me in this position? Why did he give me this profession over something else? And so I have taken a personal mission to know that, when I'm in this HBCU world, I'm loving it. And I'm loving it because I know every day I get to impart wisdom. I get to make a difference in someone's lives that somebody else probably didn't even think was important enough. And so I have to keep giving them those affirmations and giving them that strength to say, no, you're special, you belong. And we see that all the time. I just saw, Furman beat Virginia, and you say, that's why it's March Madness, right? Because, that's why we compete. If we already know the outcome, then why compete? So we gotta keep everybody believing, look, whatever you think you want to be, if you're willing to put in the work, and God has blessed you with some talent to say this is your thing, and you are really honing your craft, then the sky's the limit.
Yeah, we got a 15-piece chicken nugget, We got a 15-piece chicken nugget dinner.
Look, I do this all day. This is what I do all day.
You listen, I already know. I already know.
Right.
But you and I'm gonna leave you with this. You talked about it in a different way, but we all have a mission. And so many years ago, I read the book, The Energy Bus. And so in that book, that book changed my life because it made me realize that you are here for a reason. There's a lot of other stuff that happened in that book, but what I did is I went and I wrote down missions. I wrote down missions for my life as a coach, missions for my life as a father, missions for my life as a husband, missions for my life as a man. And I decided I'm going to live my life along these missions. And so you talked about like your players coming into this. And when I wrote those missions down, part of that was being there for my players. So guess what? I had 2 phones.
Oh, wow.
When those players walk in that door, as busy as I am, you're recruiting all the time, you're doing this, you're doing that. But when they walk in, it's like you said, when they walk in, I give them the assurance that I'm there for them.
Yeah.
That if you have a problem, I always end my text messages with, holler if you need me.
Yeah.
Holler if you need something. They know what that means. That means anything.
Right.
Because this is not I'm not here to help you get better only to help you get better as a football player. I'm here for your life. And when I say real relationships, I'm talking, man, if you need me, this and my family, they understand. Like they understand this is the agreement. This is why God put your dad here. Right. This is why God put your husband here. And God will repay you in a whole lot of different ways. I tell my kids, man, you remember that Cotton Bowl we went to? Oh, that was great. That's God repaying you for your dad being gone all the time. When we able to do some of the things we able to do, that's God repaying you. You some, and it's not all about stuff and things, but when I'm able to spend time with you like some other father can't do, when I'm able to let you experience some things that maybe some of your friends can't experience, it's God repaying you because he understands you giving up a lot, So I think, like you just talked about, we have to all understand, man, we are put here for a reason. And sometimes the reason that you put here, you don't even see the fruit of that for 20 years. The kid, it's a person that you touched when you got on the elevator, like you talked about. And I got one story, I'm gonna leave you with it. I was fired as a coach. I was fired. And I was speaking at the AFCA convention. And I was up on the stage and we were talking about faith, family, and football. And so they got to the point, when we coaches, when we get fired, we call that transition. So we got to the point we talk about transition. I said, we talking about being fired. Let's make sure the language is plain so everybody knows that we talking about being fired.
You was in between jobs.
Yeah, we all that. No, you fired at this point. So when you're fired, your intensity level is heightened. Right? You got your head on a swivel. When because you have to go find a job. I was on that stage and I was talking about my place where I was at that moment. And I said, you know what? I know I'm a good coach. This is just a moment. It's like when you're a coach and you didn't get the first down. The game is over. You got the punt. And you're going to go have another new series. If you're defensive coach, you didn't stop them. They scored. The game is not over. The game is still going on. You got to understand as a coach, you just in a moment of struggle. Who was that just beat Virginia?
Furman.
Furman didn't lead the whole game. Right? Furman didn't lead the whole game. There were some struggles in there. They went up and down. Right. But at the end of the game, they came out victorious. If Furman, when they would have gotten behind and they said, oh, I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
Right. It would have gone just like everybody wrote and said it
Yeah.
should go. But no, Furman stayed in the game. Furman stayed in the hunt. And so I understand, and I try to get my players and anybody who's around me to understand that this is a process, like we talked about
Yeah.
earlier. And there are going to be some ups and some downs
Yes.
along the way in this process. Well, I'm up there on the stage talking like this. This is a person who is fired, and I'm talking like this.
Yeah.
Well, after it was all over, there's whenever you speak at the convention, there's like 100 people in line.
Yeah.
To talk
Yeah.
to you. But my wife grabbed me. She said, "No, you can't talk to these people. There's 2 people you got to talk to right now." So she grabbed me, pulled me to the side, and there was a lady and a husband. And the lady said, "Coach Malone, I wrote you a letter some months ago, and I wrote this letter because my husband was fired, and what you said in your response. By the way, Coach Malone, we sent about 150 other letters out to other coaches, and really none of them responded, but you responded, and what you said is, listen, you fired right now, but you're gonna be okay. Keep your head up, keep fighting, keep going." And basically, what I said to her when I was high and mighty, not fired.
You had to live it.
Her the same things that I said on this stage. So how powerful was it for me, for these people to see me in the moment that they were in, and to have to, for me to regurgitate the same message that I gave them. I wasn't up there saying, "You know what? The hell with this." No, I was up there saying what I advised them to do. She said, "Coach, you don't know it, but at the moment we got your letter back, we were ready to just get out of this profession, and we were ready to do something else. But your message gave us hope, and we hung in there, and he has a job. We're doing fine now." You know, but it was because of your letter. So I just wanted to thank you. And so I learned 2 things at that moment that lady talked to me. I learned one thing, that when somebody sends you a message, respond to those people. Because you never know what they're going, And the next thing that I learned is like she said, to persevere, because you might be down today in a struggle today, but tomorrow you might be up on the top of the mountain, and vice versa, So when you at the bottom, you got to make sure you're doing the same things you would do if you were at the top, because somebody somewhere is watching, and they either getting, like you said earlier, they either getting a positive message from you, or they learning what not to do from you. And so that was just a great blessing again.
Awesome.
Just be in that moment to get that word from those people. Well, I appreciate your time, and your time is like, when we say valuable, we talking about like gold bullion, right?
Look.
We appreciate you for being on.
Thank you, and keep doing the work that you're doing. Same way, we have some mutual friends, and so keep making the impact that you're making, and it's so wonderful when it's, again, authentic and it's real, and it's not just for show. So keep doing what you're doing. We're here supporting you. And if there's anything you need, you always know you got a friend over in Delaware State. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.